in Michigan, Donald Trump's head-to-head matchup with Joe Biden shows that Joe Biden is now well ahead of him in double digits in Michigan. And, Jake, we're hearing, and I'm not exactly sure why, maybe you can explain to us, Biden had 55 to 39% in Michigan. The Detroit Free Press said that perhaps some of the movement, the net 4 movement in Biden's direction was because of what happened on June the 1st. People seem to be repulsed by that. But why is Biden doing so well in all of the swing states, or in most of the swing states right now? Because you look at polls, and it used to be that the swing states were really tight and close, even if Biden were up by 8 or 9 points nationally. But now we're seeing more and more polls that are saying Biden not only has a double-digit lead, but he's also doing very well in states like Wisconsin, Michigan, Florida, Pennsylvania, and things are even getting tight. Biden's even ahead in some polls in swing states like Ohio and Iowa. What's going on there?
Well, I mean, you could choose any number of the reasons. I mean, the president seems to inject himself into controversies without much logic or reason behind it. And I agree. This is not just Michigan, as you just noted. It's Ohio. It's Iowa, where the vice president visited yesterday. In a Des Moines Register poll, it showed a tight race, a state that the president has been relatively popular in, which also has a tight Senate race. You're seeing this in Arizona, too. And if you look kind of across the map, again, these are polls 139 days before the election. But if you look across the map, if you start putting states like Arizona, Iowa in play, Michigan in play, then that shuts off a huge pathway for the president for re-election. And it calls into question why he's not doing things that are broadly popular with the base. And I'm not the president's political strategist, and I've tried to understand for years why he has not done things that are clearly quite popular with the broad brush of the American public. But he continues to do things like inject himself into controversies, the military patrolling the streets, not getting rid of Confederate named bases. I mean, these are things that even on Capitol Hill with some of the most conservative members of Congress and members of the Senate, these are things that are no-brainers for people who are practiced politicians that the president just doesn't really have the appetite to get his arms around.
So, Michael Steele, you look at those numbers. I think most people in Michigan think that's a bigger spread than obviously we'll see, 16 points. But in this moment in time, the president is struggling in the places where he won by just a hair. You can add Michigan into that conversation. You can add Wisconsin into that conversation. And also places now where he's having to play defense, places like Texas and Georgia and Arizona and other places where he's going to have to spend time and money to lock down states he's already won, forget about winning new states. It's not a big mystery about why we are where we are. It's his handling of this moment, this racial justice moment, but also his handling for the last 4 months of the pandemic as people see what's actually happening in their communities, in their hospitals, in their schools, in their workplaces. This thing is real. And as we've been talking about this morning, the president is trying to turn the page on something that very much remains on this page for the country.